There he is himself, the man from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, undefeated, 18-0, battling Angelo Leo this upcoming Saturday, Showtime Championship Boxing. Cool Boy Steph in the house. How are you, my man?
I'm good.
Well, tell us, how are you feeling? It's finally fight week. This is an opportunity you've been looking forward to your entire career. Lo and behold, now it's in front of you.
I feel good. I'm just ready to get it on, At this point, I'm just ready to fight.
Now, tell me about the process of what you are going to go through this fight week. Premier Boxing Champions is very focused on, the safety of the fighters and making sure you guys are okay. And, you're going into a bubble, I believe. Can you explain to us what exactly your fight week is going to look like this week, Steven?
Yeah, well, today I'm checking in, so I'm going to have to self-quarantine for the whole day. Can't leave the room for the week. I believe you can't leave the bubble for the week, for 6 days. We're going to be doing a lot of testing, to make sure everybody's health is updated. So that'll be for the most part of it. Besides, training, and we can't leave the facility as well. We can't leave the bubble. So
you are driving down from Philadelphia to Mohegan Sun in Uncasville, Connecticut, correct?
Yes, I'm actually down here right now.
Oh, you're down there right now? Okay, so when did you make your way down there already? I mean,
I left,
this morning or?
Yeah, this morning I left.
Okay.
I'm here now.
So now you're just waiting to check in, and you're going to be quarantined for what? Until they're going to give you a test, and then
tomorrow.
Tomorrow. So they're going to give you a test tomorrow.
7 a.m. tomorrow, I believe. That's when we get tested.
Okay, so you're in the bubble. You cannot leave your room today throughout the remainder of the evening. So when it comes to food and, the things that you need to be able to, prepare yourself for your fight, how does that process work?
I mean, they gave us a heads up. So, we took time to stop by the store and, gather up some things to, hold me over until it's time for me to be able to leave the room.
Now, did you get a workout in before you left for Mohegan Sun, Steven, or are you going to do some working out in your room and try to do stuff like that?
I got a workout in, but at this point, I just want to rest my body now.
Okay, so now it's the come down process and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk about your opponent, Angelo Leo. You guys both were on the virtual, the Showtime rollout last week. And I know that you exchanged some words. He said that, you've been rocked and you've been hurt, you've been down in your career. How did you take those comments in which he threw at you?
I mean, you can just tell someone else is in his ear, He anytime a person have seen me been dropped is in an amateur video. And that was when I was fighting WSB. And that's on YouTube. Anybody can go look at that, and I don't care about that. Second of all, I've been tested, and that's what that let me know that I have been tested. He hasn't been tested. How do he know how he will hold up when he gets rocked and dropped? And that's all. So I didn't take that personal. I just, I feel like I'm becoming a vet now, so I don't let those comments get to me.
Is that, in your mind, is that his way to try to psych himself up? Because different guys get ready in different aspects. Some guys need to be amped up and energetic and kind of let themselves, be a little more vocal than others. I feel like you're kind of like that in between where you'll say what's on your mind, but you don't necessarily act out of character. Your nickname fits you perfectly, Cool Boy Steph, because I feel like, you're just so calm and collected.
No, for sure. And as you can see, that's why I didn't even get a haircut. I'm trying to play it safe right now as far as this quarantine and, this COVID-19 stuff. I didn't even get a haircut for this fight. It don't even matter at this point.
I got you. So you're trying to do as much as you can and not worry about necessarily style and put yourself in harm's way.
For sure.
How has it been like the final couple of weeks of training camp for you in preparation for this fight? We are living in very different times, Steven, and obviously there are challenges that come with that. But how have the last couple of weeks of training camp been like for you?
It's been challenging here and there, but I adapt. I'm an intelligent person, not just fighter, but I'm an intelligent person. all the way around. So, I had to adapt, and I adapted to it. But it does have some challenges that come along with it.
So what are some of those challenges?
As far as training alone, sometimes you have to, as I had to do it now, virtually. I was virtually training somewhat without my trainers here and there, and this man between this wearing this mask 24/7,
yeah,
running and everything, everything's just been different for me.
So when you go ahead and run, you're wearing the mask, correct? I mean,
yeah.
How is that? Because I've heard different schools of thinking. Some people, if they're out in open air and everything else, some of them, try to use caution, but you run with the mask on then.
Yes.
And has that been a little bit more difficult than usual? Is it the same? How is that for you?
I mean, it's a little bit more difficult, with the weather that's been going on. It's a little hot in Philadelphia, so it's a little difficult.
And also, you mentioned about that there were times that your trainers were sometimes there, sometimes not. Will you have your entire team, training-wise, with you in Connecticut on Saturday night on Showtime?
Not my entire team.
But you'll have your trainers and your coaches, those that, are typically in your corner will be in your corner, correct? Or is that not the case?
I will have one of my trainers in my corner, and Stephen Edwards will be in my corner as well as my cut man, Harvey Estrada.
Okay, so Bradman will be in your corner this weekend and stuff.
Yes.
So Philadelphia those Philadelphians looking out for each other. Also, another thing, Stephen, the city of brotherly love doesn't have a world champion right now in regards to boxing. And obviously we know the rich history of boxing in Philadelphia. How much are you kind of taking that as to say, well, Saturday night, that's all going to change?
I don't really think too much on it. I don't overpressure myself. I don't, put the extra pressure on myself as well as me knowing that that's what I come to do, make history and Philadelphia history as well. So I'm at this point, it's just, staying cool, calm, and collective.
And for you, the gym wars that you've experienced in Philadelphia, and also I know you spent some time working with and sparring with Carl Frampton as well a couple of years ago. Do you feel like your experience, both not only fighting professionally, but also the gym wars that we have heard that have been so synonymous with Philadelphia boxing, are going to benefit you in this matchup against Angelo Leo on Saturday?
Of course, that experience and those type of things always will help me in the ring. I'm becoming more calm and inside the ring, more aware of what I'm doing and my opponent is doing. And sparring Carl Frampton and other opponents, other guys like him, helped me a lot along my way. It helped me change who I was as a person, not as just as a fighter.
Also, what is it like to be the first main event for Premier Boxing Champions following the, or during this pandemic? This is the first fight PBC has had since early March, and now you are leading off as the main event alongside Angelo Leo this Saturday on Showtime, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific time. But how do you feel about that?
I feel good, It's like I'm welcoming PBC back in Showtime, like I'm welcoming boxing back, so it feels good, It means, to me, it means that I've been on, their mind. So I like to, thank y'all for that.
Now, January 25th, you fought Arnold Kagai, and you won 117, 111 across the board in right to unanimous decision victory. You were the first fight on Showtime, but now that your name is on the marquee, you're the main event. Does that excite you even that much more?
Yeah, it do, but I haven't really thought of it yet. Like, how sometimes after something that happened, you like, damn, I really was the main event. Mm-hmm. I don't really think about it until after it's over with, and that's just come from me focusing so much.
So your mentality is the same whether or not you're the first fight in the arena without fans, or if you're the main event, and obviously this is post or before, COVID and stuff, but when fans are trickling in, if you're the first fight in the arena or if you're the main event, your mentality is the same.
It's the same. And it has to be the same. You can't let a couple adjustments and a couple things dictate how you will, how your outcome may be. So, yeah.
You're a very active fighter as well, Steven. And do you like the notion that you did fight at the end of January, because now this is your second fight? As we look at fighters now across the board because of this pandemic, many of them are going to be stepping inside the ring for the very first time as we get into the PBC schedule.
My bad. I'm sorry.
I said you fought January 25th.
Yeah.
Do you like that this is your second fight this year? Because many of your fellow fighters haven't fought this year, and as we're coming back with PBC, it'll be their first fight in the ring. So do you feel like you have a little bit of an advantage in regards to staying sharp?
I wouldn't really call it an advantage, but then again, I would say, yeah, it feels good, because they'll watch me. That's why it feels good. And I'm back, so that's another reason why it feels good.
During this pandemic, we've seen the likes of Adam Lopez and also, Joshua Greer and, a couple other guys that you fought and stepped inside the ring with, get some national attention. But now, and you've beaten those guys, as you watch those guys go and do their thing, does it kind of give you, any extra motivation as to say, man, I beat those guys, wait until I get my TV time?
No, it don't really do that to me because, by me beating them, it's just, it lets me know that I'm in a good position that I'm in now, such as fighting for a world title as a main event. And I knew I would get my shot. It's just that, everybody have to, take their time sometimes and take different routes. I like those guys, but who's to say that their time didn't come earlier because they were opponents in that situation.
I see. And for you, looking at the rest of the division, I know that you're focused on Angelo Leo, but another guy who I feel like you guys have had some words over the past year and a half, 2 years. I'm going with this, but Brandon Figueroa from Weslaco, Texas. He was on the PBC podcast a couple of weeks ago, and he said that he had been calling you out years ago prior to, when you fought Adam Lopez. He said he wanted a matchup with you, and you have refuted that, saying, I've been calling out Brandon Figueroa. He's turned down the fight. From your perspective, what is the situation between you and Brandon Figueroa? Because he claims that he'd been calling you out a couple years ago. You turned it down, and now you're calling him out because he is a champion. So what is the status of that?
The status is when they wanted to fight me years ago, my trainer turned it down because he said it didn't make sense at the time. Let's do it when it makes money and for a title. Second of all, they wanted me to fight him in his hometown on his brother's undercard. That didn't make sense. Who would do that? Now, when it makes sense for a title and more money to feed both parties, he don't want to do it. Just like I fought in his hometown against Isaac Avelar.
Yeah, you knocked out Isaac Avelar with a vicious body shot.
And we both agreed. We both agreed, like thumbs up. Me and his corner did. Then I called him out, and what I was told was they wanted to take a different direction. They wanted to go a different direction.
So was there talk, because after that fight, when you guys fought in FS1 at the end of August last year, he fought on Julio Ceja on the undercard of Wilder and Ortiz #2. So is that what you were inkling for, to fight Brandon Figueroa on that pay-per-view card?
Yes. Yep.
And then they went a different direction with Ceja.
And they went another different direction. Yep.
Okay, so just wanted to go ahead and give clarification on both sides. So, I hear one thing. Want to go ahead and bring it to your attention because they called me
out when I was when I had a little bit less fights in my career, like 10 fights. I was like 10-0. I said, yeah, let's do it. My corner said no, it didn't make sense at that time. So, all right, I'm gonna rock out my corner. I know deep down within myself, I didn't turn it down. But if my corner turned down, all right, that's same as me. All right, cool, we turned down. But now y'all turn it down. So now, what's the big deal?
So
what's the problem?
With the victory on Saturday, assuming all goes according to plan, do you think now that you get closer to that fight, or is there something else that would interest you within the 122-pound division? Because as you look at it from a PBC standpoint, you have Ray Vargas, who's over. You also have Daniel Roman, who's going to be fighting on a Showtime card later on in the next few months. You have Brandon Figueroa. Obviously, you have, Angelo Leo on Saturday night. But is there anybody else outside of Figueroa after Saturday that would interest you or that you would jump into the ring with?
Ray Vargas.
So that's who you would want next.
I would want more belts. I would want more belts following after everything goes right Saturday and we get this belt.
Getting back to Angelo Leo, as he's undefeated, but do you feel like his level of competition is nowhere near where yours is? And you had to get an opportunity to fight another undefeated guy early in your career. Now this is his opportunity, but do you feel that the experience is going to be that much more different when you step inside the ring?
It will be. You can look at his box rack and see the difference within our opponents. So it will be. And yes, it's a major difference between our careers and the path we took.
The one item I don't feel you get enough credit for is your punching power. You look at your record and you're 18-0 with 8 knockouts, but the fight I'm going to point out, and we mentioned this, is back in August when you knock out Isaac Avalar by a vicious shot to the body, a liver shot that went ahead and put him down on the canvas. Do you feel like you don't get enough credit for your punching power because of how slick you are and how well you move?
Of course, and that becomes the shocker to my game plan. Everybody says, "Oh, he's going to box, or we're going to press him out." Then soon they feel it. What happens? The whole game plan changes. So yes, of course, my punching power is underrated, but I don't think too much on that because I know what I can do, and I know my abilities, and I know my power.
The one item that stands out in terms of watching you fight, and I have watched your fights, literally since the beginning for a long, long time. We go way back. But, as I watch you, you not only move well, but movers don't necessarily focus on body punching to the degree that you do. I feel like you make it a point to attack the body of your opponents because they are so aggressive. Is that fair to say?
Yes, and I'm a good body puncher, and I like to let them feel that. I want you to feel me go downstairs on you. I want you to feel me hit that body. That's what I be wanting them to feel. And once they feel it, everything changes.
I almost feel like you get more of a thrill because having watched your fights ringside for many years, that you get more of a thrill when you land a nice body shot compared to that of something upstairs on the chin or the cheek or anything like that. I kind of see you smiling a little bit in between rounds and stuff like that. It's be like, yeah, I know I got him to the body. The face shot was nice, but the body shot I feel like you get more of a thrill off of.
For sure. I love body work. A lot of people see, oh, he got a good jab. We're going to get past his jab. I'm not just a jabber. I don't even practice and work on my jabs in the gym as much. I honestly don't. It just naturally happens. And that's something I have good. But when it comes to body work, this fight and leading up to this fight, I've really been working a lot.
So not to give away, much of your game plan, but as you look at Angelo Leo, how do you preview him stylistically?
I think he's a one-sided fighter. Like, he only has one style. He's not versatile to me, I know he's coming to fight. I know that he'll be ready, but I don't think he has what it takes.
Also, the light standpoint, he's had some fights on Showtime, but not to I feel like you have fought on television more than him, and from the light standpoint, certain guys respond to the lights in different ways. Do you feel like you're used to it already and that it may be a hindrance on his standpoint?
You said the lights?
Yeah, the lights, fighting on television, everything else. You have TV experience a lot more than he does.
This is his biggest fight. You can only say this is my biggest fight because of the world title, but this is his biggest fight as far as the opponent-wise, TV-wise, the name of the fight itself. This is the most exposure he has gotten by fighting me ever. This is the most exposure he's ever. So, of course, this is going to be a main factor in this fight that would be a hell of a main factor in this fight. All that he had to deal with a lot of things that he's never dealt with before.
And how much, when you're fighting and you're going through the fight, the long fight weeks, and it's a different fight week this week, but you still have obligations when it comes to fighter meetings, when it comes to interviews like this. You have been able to juggle that, but, tell the fans of what it's like to have to do these radio interviews, these TV interviews, all these media obligations leading up to a main event on Showtime.
It can be exhausting. You got calls from every angle, and some of them you have to really do. So it's like you have to deal with that. You have to deal with, making weight. You have to deal with your outside problems, such as family problems. You have to deal with the gym. And you have to deal with, the COVID-19 that we're all dealing with right now. So it's a lot of pressure on fighters. And none of that matters because you still have to fight and you still got to win.
When you
fought, definitely a lot of pressure.
When you fought on TV the first time, do you remember being, and on a big fight for you, do you remember being a little bit more excited than usual? And there's such a thing, in my opinion, as an adrenaline dump from some fighters. You get that main event, you come out, the cameras are all on you, the bell rings, you come out, and you're starting to do your thing 3 or 4 rounds, and then that adrenaline dumps, and then we get into the full fight because it is 12 rounds in 36 minutes in which you have to fight.
I actually hold on, you got to see that again.
No, I'm saying is that, the energy dump. Do you feel like, him coming out, being in the main event, that he might have a little bit of an adrenaline dump? Some guys handle it better than others. How did you handle it when your first time on TV?
I mean, I handled it well. I didn't really have a adrenaline dump. Is that what you would call it, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that an adrenaline dump, you get so excited, you're fighting for 4 or 5 rounds hard, and then we see a little bit of a drop, and we see a drop off.
I didn't have that my first time on television. I was prepared for that type of stuff. I didn't have no adrenaline dump. Of course my adrenaline was running, but after that, it wasn't a dump. It was it's like I had it on eco mode after a while. I started to relax and calm myself down, and then continue to hold that pace that I was fighting at. That's more so what I was doing on his behalf. I think he will have an adrenaline dump. Okay.
Now, for you, do you feel like your style is better suited for 12 rounds? Because there are things that we see with you that you like to extend the fight, and there are things that I see you do in the 7th and 8th round that you don't do in the 2nd and 3rd round. Is that by design?
Yes, that's just me as a fighter overall. Sometimes I like to go the distance, and I am a 12-round fighter. But if need be, and I see it early ahead to get the opponent out of there, I will take that.
Also, Steven, where do you get your ring IQ from? Because when you're in that ring, I feel like you're like a computer and processing all this information, and you're thinking a couple of steps ahead and trying to plan out. It's like you're playing chess in many aspects. Athletic chess is what I would say. So where does that ring IQ come from?
I mean, we all have gifts in certain ways, and I just feel like I'm very intelligent. I'm a very intelligent young person, and that leads into my game and my game plan when it comes to fighting. And honestly, I just feel as though, a lot of people are just fighters. They know how to fight, but they don't know how to think. If you can think and fight, you're a problem. Look at Floyd Mayweather.
Well, is there also, it's one thing to think, but it's another thing to physically implement it. I think that's such a rare attribute to have. And it sounds like, as I watch you fight, I feel like you're able to do everything, pretty much at the same time. You are a multitasker in that ring, because you're thinking, but you're also moving and doing a lot of different things. Your hand placement, your footwork, everything else.
For sure. I'm a mental fighter first. My brother Nazim Richardson always told me that, man. He said, "What type of fighter are you?" I said, I'm a skillful fighter. He said, "No, you're an intelligent fighter first, and never forget that." And that's something that will always stick with me. And as you can see in every interview or just in a fight, I move off of pure intelligence and pure knowledge. And I move off of my mind. I react off of my mind first. So even when I might not be throwing any punches, I'm still right here with my opponent, mentally draining them.
I see, just based on your pressure and your movement and little things that you do.
For sure.
Well, you mentioned Nazim Richardson, who passed away last week. I feel like Nazim went ahead and embodied what Philadelphia boxing was all about. How much of a blow is the passing of Nazim Richardson to not only the sport of boxing, but the city of Philadelphia?
I mean, it was a low blow, honestly. It was like, he means, man, listen, he's Philadelphia boxing, honestly. And I'm not just saying that just because he passed away. He is Philadelphia boxing. And anytime you name Philadelphia boxing, his name will be mentioned. That just shows you right there. He is an icon in Philadelphia.
So are you going to be dedicating this fight to him on Saturday night? Of
course. He'll always be right there with me. He'll always be right there with me. As Julian Williams stated before, he can have your confidence, make you feel like you can go in there and beat a gorilla. And
just
that's
based on what he tells you.
And that's just what it is.
With Nazim, it seemed like he was a master motivator, but also a brilliant technician. And as I talk to fighters from all different parts of Philadelphia, that, you know, I feel like he always left an impression on everybody that he worked with. And I feel like that is not the case with some trainers and teachers in boxing.
Of course, you know, he tried to give a message wherever and whenever to whoever he can. And he that's what makes him a great teacher. It wasn't just about boxing and just people who only know boxing. He would talk to anybody about it, and he'll also give life lessons as well as that. And honestly, that's when you know you're a pure teacher, when you can teach and tell and educate someone other than people that are in your sport, you know, like just in life in general.
And cool Boy Steph, getting back to Philadelphia boxing, but you are 26 years of age. You know, you came up in the inner city of Philadelphia. You know, you didn't have the easiest upbringing. Knowing that you are on the cusp of winning a title, you know, I feel, you know, do you take the sense that you are a role model for the youth within, you know, Philadelphia? Because I'm sure that there were guys that you looked up to when you started boxing, you know, 10, 11, 12 years old, but now you could very well be in that position.
Of course, you know, there was like guys I maybe have looked up to, and they didn't set out to do what we all thought they were set out to do. And maybe that's because they didn't have that mental toughness that we thought they had. But on my aspect, I am a role model, and I'll try to get my message out clear as possible. You know, stick through whatever, even if it's the harder way. Don't just look at somebody else's success and say, oh, they took the easy route. There's nothing wrong with taking a different direction, you know? So I feel like I am a role model, and I want to continue to be a good role model for young kids, not just boxers, but basketball players, athletes, anybody. I feel like I want to be that great and good role model. So.
Well, what can fans expect on Saturday night in your main event on Showtime when you battle Angelo Leo for a title at 122 pounds? It's obviously a goal that you have set out for, and now you are this close from going ahead and reaching that. But what can fans expect on Saturday on Showtime?
Y'all gotta expect intelligent boxing. Once again, intelligent, beautiful boxing. We will get it on. He's coming to fight. I'm coming to fight. We both undefeated. Nobody wants to lose. We both want that world title, so expect a hell of a performance and a hell of a show.
Steven, thank you so much, my friend. Cool Boy Steph in the house from Philadelphia, PA. Enjoy the rest of your fight week. I know you're going to be in the PBC bubble. I'm sure you'll be fine, but we look forward to seeing you on Saturday. Pumped to be able to call your fight for the international audience. Good luck, Steven, and we will see you later on this week.
I'm about to go back to sleep.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Steven Fulton joining us.